Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. It's actually Town of Clinton Police Night on the Pete Mezzetti Show this evening, and I have two distinguished gentlemen with me to discuss what's going on with the Clinton PD. I have Captain Joe Flynn. Joe, Pete, welcome. How are you? Good to see you again.
How are you, Pete?
Good.
To see you.
And the man, the myth, the legend, Chief Vin DeVale.
Good to see you, bro.
Hi, Chief.
Good to be here.
Good to see you. How you been?
Been very well.
Good.
Actually, it's my anniversary today. So
I know. I was actually going to open up my comments.
You were kind enough to have me on when I first got to Clinton.
Yeah, that's right.
Back in 2016, and I thought it was a radio show, so I showed up in my flip-flops and my shorts. So to commemorate that occasion, Pete, I did wear my sunglasses. Not on my head for no reason. But,
there you go.
Connection, we have it all flowing through this way. So.
Yeah, but this time you're in uniform. So.
This time I'm in uniform, but I brought the sunglasses for that shoreline thing.
There you go. The shoreline
thing. Yeah, we're working on it.
Getting ready for summer.
There you go. Yeah. So what's going on in the PD? Joe, tell us before we start with that. Joe, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long you've been captain, and how long you've been in the police department?
I've been with the Clinton Police Department for over 30 years. I started in 1988. I made captain in November of 2018. So it's still kind of new to me, new position, but I'm enjoying it.
Cool.
It's challenging, but it's also rewarding. So.
And what exactly do you do as captain?
So I supervise the patrol division and and I also supervise the detective bureau.
Cool.
So on a daily basis, I kind of go over all the cases with them and make sure that I review each case that comes in. I'm monitoring what's going on, making sure the policy is followed, and we're getting the cases up to court in a timely manner and things like that. So.
And there's a lot more to it than that.
Yeah.
But, he just gave you the thumbnail sketch.
Of course there's a lot more to it than that, isn't there, Joe?
Absolutely. It's, it is definitely a lot different than I thought it was going to be. Even though you think you know the job, then when you get into it, you start realizing there's a lot more to it, and a lot more people come to you for problem solving or solutions, and we get it done. And like I said, it's challenging, but it's rewarding, and that's, I think, the best part. At the end of the day, you do see things that you got done, and you're helping young officers come up. It's great to mentor young officers, and it's great to mentor young supervisors. Right. And I have great guys that I work with that I've known for a long time that I can rely on. Some of the supervisors I came on with, 25 years ago. 30 years ago, and we work together now. It's a great team atmosphere within the agency.
And I saw that you guys have a couple of new recruits that are about to hit the road as well.
Yep, they're on their FTO program right now. They just started last week. They graduated from the academy last week on Wednesday.
All right.
And then Thursday and Friday they were on the road already. So they are already hitting the pavement. They're with a senior officer, which would be called a field training officer.
Okay.
They have to be with that officer for 10 to 14 weeks, and they're at their hip, just watching and learning, and it's a gradual movement into actually doing the police work themselves. So you don't come out of the academy and here you go out and deal with the public. They're with somebody at all times, learning a step by playbook how to do things. And the problem is not the problem, but it's. You want them to see everything.
Right.
You can't see it all in that 10 to 14 weeks, but you certainly can see a lot. And with that officer right there, you hopefully by the end of the 10 to 14 weeks they can do it all by themselves, and the FTO is just watching them at the end.
And then after the 14 weeks, you basically say, "Here you go. Here's your assignment."
You're a rookie.
There you go.
And then they still are under close supervision certainly by the senior officers that are out there, but their supervisors, their sergeants will be out there, their corporals will be out there watching what they do. They're on, everybody's on probation for a period, learning the ropes, but there's a little bit more supervision to them, closer supervision to those younger officers, the rookies, and everybody makes some minor mistakes, and that's what the FTO program, the probation program is all about. And that's why we have supervisors in the field.
Cool. And Chief, tell us a little bit about yourself as far as your law enforcement career, where you came from before you came to the town of Clinton.
Sure. Our new recruit just graduated from the 374th, right? Was it 374?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So I was in the 220th And I think Joe's a little bit before me. So
I was in 214. So.
All right.
So we go way back. Between the two of us sitting here, we're looking at like 60 plus years of police experience. So I started September 11th, 1989 in the town of New Canaan, Connecticut, which is down in Lower Fairfield County.
Sure.
And basically had about 15 college credits at the time. Started working as a patrolman. We used to also dispatch as sworn officers. You would have to rotate through dispatch, so I did that. Went back to school at night, worked on my bachelor's degree. Got my bachelor's degree in political science from UConn. Go Huskies.
There you go.
Went back to school after that. I said I was going to take like a semester off. I ended up taking about 3 semesters off, but I went back, got my master's degree in public administration. Continued to work my way up through the ranks in New Canaan. I was in charge of training. I was in charge of recruitment, testing, and selection. I was the accreditation officer for the department for CALEA's accreditation. I'm also a CALEA assessor, so I travel around the country assessing other departments' ability to meet national best practice standards. I was an investigator. I was then promoted to lieutenant. Got shipped back to the midnight shift again. You know, this is the way it works in law enforcement. You go, you move as you move forward. You come back down.
Exactly.
So you get seniority as a patrolman, and you get to work the day shift and have a nice schedule for yourself, and then you get promoted. You get kicked back to midnights. So after I was promoted to lieutenant, I was in a real short stint on midnights again, maybe about 9 months, and then I was placed in charge of the investigative section. So I ran that for 3 years. I was in charge of our investigative division, and then I was promoted to the position of commander of operations, which is what Joe holds now. We didn't have a deputy chief, so I was basically number 2, and every police department is broken down into 2 distinct halves, really. You have operations, which would be what most people think about when they think about the police department, right?
Yep.
You make a phone call, the black and white shows up, and a guy dressed in blue steps out and addresses your issue. That's operations. Also, the investigative section, if you have a crime that needs to get investigated, maybe the detectives come. So that's the operations section, which is the bulk of any police department. And then the other half is administrative services. There's a lot of things that we need to have watch daily, compliance issues, court liaison, managing the fleet, managing the building, making sure our general orders are up to date, scheduling, communications, radio communications, records keeping, all those additional things, that, training, all the additional things that need to support operations and us being able to deliver services out to the community. That's a whole nother division. So Joe was promoted to captain of operations, and we promoted Scott Jacober to captain of administrative services. So it's been, I think, the baptism for fire by these guys. They realized how much work that we really had to do. When I first got here in 2016, it was myself and a deputy chief who was only here for about 6 months before he departed. So we really wanted to put a restructure in place to provide best practices and have a model that works for us now where we are. We had a lot of great guys, as Joe mentioned. We have a lot of great talent in the Clinton Police Department, but they were really ending at first line supervisor training. Nobody had any command level training. Nobody understood all the other things that go on, because honestly, once you get into the command level, it's pretty about as far away from everything you've been trained to do.
Yeah, exactly.
As you can imagine. But you need to have that background. You need to have that experience level and understand all the finer workings of each one of these positions to be an effective manager, because it really takes a lot to understand what things can we provide to make the service better, to streamline things, what things aren't working, and what can we tweak to provide better service to the public. And that's always our end game. Our mission at Clinton Police Department is keeping Clinton safe. And that's always what we're about. We're about service delivery, and everything is geared towards that. So everything we do is geared towards that.
You guys are a very busy department.
We're a super busy department. We are a super busy department. And my old agency was 47 officers. Now here we have 27. And the population was just about the same. Our problem here in Clinton, as I've said on every one of your shows that I've come to, is that our sitting population is only about 13,500, but we have Clinton Crossing, which brings in 10,000 visitors a day, which nets 4 million visitors a year. So that really is keeping us at about a 30,000 population on a daily basis. So we're not your normal PD. We have a lot more that we have to deal with less people. And it's very difficult to get people to break that mindset to understand how much more work we have to carry because of the transient population that brings in. To put it in a little perspective, I think Mystic Aquarium is only bringing in like 1.8 million visitors a year, or 2 million visitors a year. We're doubling that.
Holy cow.
You would think it'd be odd to go around and not see any police officers there. So it's a lot of work.
I'm going to say, especially like during the holiday season, especially up at Clinton Crossing.
Everybody knows Black Friday.
It's got to be absolutely
with the traffic and the number of people. But on a daily basis, and I mean, especially in the springtime and the summer, on a daily basis, we're probably called there at the very least once or twice, maybe multiple times. And, one officer is not the response you get to Clinton Crossings, because when it is, let's say it's a shoplifting, it's usually, it turns out being an organized retail crime, 2 to 3 people. And, it's not $100 worth of stuff, it's $5,000 worth of merchandise from 5 different stores. So you've just tied that one officer up with processing a person who's going to be there probably all night, getting the report done for the morning. All the evidence has to be inventoried, photographed, returned to the people, and statements taken from all witnesses and victims. So you tie up 2 officers for the entire shift. The entire shift. So literally one comes in at 3 p.m. They are done until 11, and probably staying over to get the reports done. For court, somebody is staying over to get all those reports done.
Exactly.
And more often now, the people end up being, sometimes they're fugitives. They're people who are already wanted for the same activity in other states. And that happens pretty frequently. So now that's a whole nother ball game. Now you got to start the whole process over again for a new arrest and get the paperwork up to court the next morning. And so it is very time consuming, but I'll tell you what, our officers do it, and they do it well. Like we were just talking about the new guys. Our new guys, the first day on, one of our newest officers had a case like that right away. And then today, the other officers probably doing one again now. So it's that quick. It's just so repetitive up there over and over again.
Wow.
So, and it's not just here, it's any mall. It's not, Clinton Crossings is not the only one that happens at. It happens throughout the area.
Would you guys mind sticking around for another segment?
Sure. We went through the first
one,
right?
We'll be right back.
Wow.
Take a look at the people you'll meet today. It might just be for a moment, but the difference you could make in their lives can last a lifetime. If you could save one person, who would you save?
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pete Mezzetti Show. Sitting here with Joe Flynn and Vin DeMeo from the Clinton Police Department. Gentlemen, welcome back. Thanks for sticking around. So we're going to open up this segment talking about all the programs and all the programs that you guys have featuring what's going on with the town of Clinton and the PD. So, Chief, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, I think the first thing to say is that, we have adopted a real community policing platform here in Clinton. So a lot of things that we do are based upon, again, we think there's 2 types of policing. There's proactive and there's reactive. Proactive being that if we can implement things to prevent crime and stop crime from happening, we feel we're far more effective. Because reactive is you call us and now we come and try and mitigate the situation that's already occurred. So whatever we do at that point is never going to be as good as stopping a crime or preventing a crime. So with that outlook, we decided we needed to build trust. One of the pillars of 21st Century Policing Report that came out under the Obama administration was, transparency and accountability, community policing. So we're out there, we're trying to build bonds with our community, and I think we've done that very effectively. And it's the guys and girls in the PD that are out there every single day having these interactions, embracing the programs, and really bringing them to the people that are making it successful. We can sit here and say, oh, we thought of this or we thought of that, but a lot of times we really didn't. What we're trying to do is encourage our people to solve problems. I mean, and that's the true essence of community policing. We don't want our officers going out to be rolling bureaucrats, and when something happens, somebody breaks your car window or somebody steals your car, they just come out, take your name, when it happened, what color the car it is, give you a case number, and go away, and don't do anything about it. We want them to try, if you're having a neighbor dispute, what can we do to mitigate that so we don't have to keep coming back, so we can correct the problem for you. So a lot of things that we do are geared at trying to prevent crime before it happens. So one of the things that we have is the police youth group, which did Families Helping Families food drive with us on Saturday, which was quite successful. It made almost $900 and I think brought in about 1,800 pounds of food. And that was, again, a program that came from the bottom up. And I'm a firm believer that in any organization, innovation comes from the ground up. The men and women that do the job every day have the best understanding of how it could be done, what works and what doesn't work, and what ways it could be improved. So we need to encourage that, and that's what we do at Clinton PD, is we encourage our officers to come to us and say, hey, listen, this isn't working. If we did this, or we have a problem here, we think if we could do this, we might be able to do a little bit better for Clinton and the surrounding community. So one of my sergeants came to me and said, hey, there's a lot of kids that we run into that seem to be just kind of on the fringe, and they don't really seem to have any place that they can go or have a good example that they can follow. Is there a way that we can mentor them or do something? And we said, okay, well, let's think about this. And that's how the program was really started. It started as a way just to kind of reach out to kids that may have gone a different direction. They're at a critical juncture in their life. We're trying to be a positive influence, mentor them to make good decisions, make strong decisions, and become productive citizens, as opposed to going the other way and becoming, societal problems where we're going to lock them up and they're into drugs and they're committing crimes, whatever the case may be. So that was the first year, and it started out really small with about 9 kids, and this is our 3rd year now, and we're up to about 30 kids. Wow. And we've expanded it, so not just to have kids that we thought were on the margins, but open it up to kids to say, hey, listen, this is the police, what we do. We want to get to know you, you want to get to know us, and then again, it just helps strengthen us to reach that demographic. That's always a hard demographic to reach. When you're a teenager, everybody wants to push back, and you're trying to figure out who you are, and you're rejecting authority. So that's always hard. We have Spencer Mangs in the high school. He is the district's school resource officer. He's housed at the high school, but he does respond to our elementary and our middle school as well. So he handles all that, and again, it was very carefully thought out and worked out with the Board of Education as to who we thought could be someone that young demographic would connect with and feel secure with, and not only the students but the faculty as well. We wanted them to know they had somebody competent there to do the job, and we included them in all the interview processes to actually pick Spencer out for that job. So. Really? So those are some of the things we're doing with the youth. We also have a RAD program, which we just instituted. Officer Greg Matakaitis and Officer Kate Recchia are our instructors for that. They do a phenomenal job with that. It's rape and aggression defense, so it actually teaches you how to avoid situations where you might become victimized in one way or another, either sexual assault, physical assault, or some other things. And then we actually teach you physical techniques to protect yourself, and if it does happen to get physical, if you missed some of the signs along the way. Our DARE program is going really strong. We have 4 DARE officers now, which we rotate through the system. We teach Pearson, which is the last year of Pearson, so now they'll both be housed at Elliott. We'll have the 5th graders and the 7th graders over there to teach them the program. And again, I think that's a program that's been around for a very long time, but it's been revamped. Growing up, when we all went through it, if you remember back with your DARE days, we'd show you, this is marijuana, don't do this. This is cocaine, don't do this. It was basically more of an awareness thing. The whole program now is about decision making, and having kids having to deal with awkward social situations, make difficult choices, and teach them how to extricate themselves from problem situations. So that goes really far, because I'm sure you remember your dare officer, like everybody else who comes up to me at 30 and 40 years old and say, "Oh, is Officer Jones still here? Because he was my dare officer." That's a connection that we can't, you can't buy that connection. You have to build that connection, and it really helps strengthen the bonds with us in the community. That's a friendly face that everybody remembers, so they can trust the police department. They know that we're here to help them. It's a very vital program for us. And all these programs, Peter, are really the vast majority of everything we do outside of our regular operations are all funded by outside private sources. So, the Lions Club is a huge supporter of the Dare for us. K9 Sonny, he's got a fan base worldwide. He's up to like 40,000 followers on Instagram now, so everything is paid for, basically, for him, is paid for all his fans. They take care of all that for that program. We also have car seat installation that we do, and that's another program that one of my officers, Glenn Smith, came up to me one day and said, "Chief, hey, you know what? We got a little situation here. We're pulling over these cars, and you can tell these people don't have any money, and the kids are wandering around in the back seat of the cars. What good is it for me to give these people a ticket? They're not going to be able to pay the ticket. Then their license is going to get suspended, and their car is going to get towed. The kid's still going to be out. The car seat, is there a better way we can do this? Is maybe can we buy some seats, and if we think that people need them, we can give it to them." I said, "Well, why don't we go one step further? Why don't we have a program in place where we can actually start installing car seats, and we can give car seats out?" So we had a very successful program in New Canaan, and we kind of modeled it after that. But the Diocese of Norwich and Families Helping Families has been big contributors to that. So we've given away over 25 car seats, and we've checked and installed upwards of 350 at this point.
Wow.
So again, proactive policing, right? We're doing things for the right reason to reduce crime and make life a little bit better for people. Especially when you have a child that has multiple caregivers and only one car seat that thing gets moved around, and it's never in right, it's never in safe. So we're accomplishing our mission. We're making Clinton safer. We're building bonds with the community. It's a win-win, and that's the kind of thing that we love to do.
And our officers are doing this. They do this in between their calls. They do this after hours. They're not always getting paid for this or compensated. Right. This is something they like to do. It's part of the job that they really enjoy doing. Exactly. It's very rewarding for them, rewarding for the community and everybody. It's not just seeing the bad stuff every day. And they're doing it in between all their calls. Exactly. So,
who are your DARE officers?
So Officer Harkins, Officer Recchia, Officer Corbin, and Officer Mangs.
Man, you rattled that off like you knew that off the top of your head.
This is my family here. You know what I'm saying? I take pride in this department because these people take pride in their work.
Exactly.
And the community should really, and they do. I mean, the community loves us. It's not normal. If you watch the mass media, everybody's out to malign us and villainize us, and every day when we come in, there's a fresh batch of cookies waiting for us. There's cards from one of the classes saying, "Thank you, officer." So it's really different, and I think that's, and again, it's all the credit goes to our troopers out on the street that are making this happen, and when you care about people, they feel that, and they know that our officers are genuine. When they come out, they want to help you. They're not just here just to get through the shift and get through the day. They're here to help, and I think that really communicates well with the people that we respond with. Just driving through neighborhoods, they stop, they see the kids, they'll get out, throw a Frisbee with them, say hi. If K9 Sonny's walking around, he'll always stop, buy a glass of lemonade from him.
There you go. Speaking of, how is K9 Sonny?
Come on, K9 Sonny is my favorite person.
Excuse me?
He's my favorite person in the world.
Excuse me?
Really? Truly, even though he's not a person. I personify him. My wife gives me a hard time all the time. She's
I thought I was your favorite person in the world.
You're close second, but you're not as furry. I can't scratch you behind the ears.
Well, you could.
Let's not go there. This is a family show.
It is a family show.
All right. So, no, he's doing great. Listen, that dog has just been a phenomenal outreach for our agency. As you know, it was kind of controversial when we disbanded the old unit, we started the new unit. There was a lot of controversy. There was a lot of pushback. But we knew that he's really a force multiplier for the department. So,
absolutely.
Listen, he's cross-trained in narcotics, tracking, and patrol work. And again, the end goal is we want voluntary compliance in law enforcement. We don't want to use force if we don't have to.
Right.
So a lot of times you know, go to larger situations, we only have one officer responding or maybe two officers responding. You have to deal with 8 or 9 combatants that aren't going to listen to verbal commands.
Right.
You know, those officers have to go hands-on. Things could get dangerous for everybody.
Right.
K9 Sonny shows up and he starts showing his not so friendly side.
Yeah.
You get that voluntary compliance. So just that in and of itself is huge. And then, you know, when we live here by the water, there's large bodies of water all around us. It's been my experience over the past 30 years when children or people that have some mental disabilities go missing, they usually seem to find bodies of water, which is very dangerous. I don't know what it is, but so time is of the essence, and seconds really do matter when it comes to life saving. So to have him ready to go and to be able to do a track and get right out there, rather than have to call around, and hopefully the state police has somebody on, or Madison or Guilford or whatever the case may be, we're ready to go right at that minute.
Wow.
Plus the drugs that are being, you know, secreted today are very difficult to find. You know, it's heroin, it's fentanyl, it's pills, it's things that you very easily can hide from even a very experienced officer. You know, when we were younger, it was marijuana. You could smell marijuana from a mile away.
Yeah.
Very easy to spot. But the things now, we can't. Like I said, we don't have the ability to see them. They're very easily hidden, and they're very dangerous. So it's very important we have the dog to kind of knock that down as well for us.
Cool. Well, Joe Flynn and Vin DeMeo, and we're about to run out of time, so I want to thank you guys for coming down, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks for having us.
Not a problem. On behalf of Joe Flynn, Vin DeMeo, I'm Pete Mezzetti. Thanks, good night, and we'll see you next time.